to get more on this story and the Venezuelan protests and speak to Carmen Munoz from the Adrienne Arsht Latin America Center at the Atlantic Council. She joins us live. Welcome to the program. Maduro says the referendum will not happen. He has the support of the Supreme Court and Election Commission. Does he have the upper hand?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yes, I do think he has the upper hand. He has the Supreme Court, the military, and the Electoral Council in his pocket. But we're beginning to see growing momentum against him. 70% of Venezuelans want to see him out by the end of the year, and 1.8 million people have signed a petition calling for a recall referendum on his presidency. So I believe there's a growing momentum. People are taking to the streets more and more, and I think that will only continue as Venezuelans see their incomes swallowed up by inflation and grow tired of standing in line for food.
You mentioned the percentage there of 70% want him out. Critics have called him a little dictator if he impedes a recall referendum. Is that a fair portrayal?
Yes, I mean, he's, beginning to rule or continuing to rule by decree. There's no judicial independence. He models himself after his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, and I think as the social movement against him continues, we're just going to see increased repression like we saw last Friday with his declaration of a 60-day state of emergency.
Now, if he's able to delay the referendum until next year, what's going to happen to the social movement against him?
Well, without any institutional channels for change, I believe that it will continue to grow because there's no plan to correct the economy. Inflation is projected to hit between 500 and 700% this year and over 1,500% next year. The rolling blackouts are just getting worse. Hospitals are struggling to get medical equipment and supplies and medicine. Often cancer medicines are only found on the black market these days. So things are just getting worse, and Maduro doesn't have a realistic plan to correct the economy. His plan right now is to point the finger at others. So given these projections, I think the social movement will just grow absent of any path for change.
And where will this end for Venezuela?
Pardon?
Where will this end?
Oh, where will this end? As I mentioned, I think that we're beginning to see the beginning of the end, if you will, in the streets. The opposition leader, Enrique Capriles, has told the military that they can choose to side with Maduro or with the Constitution. And I think that absent, again, a viable path, people are going to continue to take to the streets. We're beginning to see a huge uptick in violence and looting because people are getting desperate. And, the international community is called for the Organization of American States to invoke the Inter-American Democratic Charter. And so I think that there are some possible hopes for a peaceful resolution, but we'll see what happens today with the protests in Venezuela.
Okay, Carmen Munoz joining us from Washington, D.C. Thank you.